So I'm very excited today with my panelists here because these are real companies. We're not talking about ideas or research or hypothetically, whether we can use AI or not. And today we have three builders who have been living and breathing the data company, go-to-market, technical challenge, and also adopting AI in your day-to-day work. So let's hear from these guys and how they really use AI. So a very quick introduction. Messari, I think everybody should recognize his name. They serve institutional investors and they're focused on market intelligence and research. Cookie 3 focuses on Web3 user behavior analytics for marketers and brands. Nansen provides real-time on-chain analytics for traders and funds. So we're very fortunate today. We have three different companies using three different types of data and using AI in their day-to-day products. So let's hear from, I think we want to open up the question today really just on how do they use AI. So maybe let's talk about your some examples of the AI products you guys are all building internally, and whether the products have changed how users use your products. Maybe Antoni, right?
Yeah. Hello everyone, thanks for having me. So I think the biggest switch is in the data perception. So people are a little bit bored with simple dashboards. They want more context. They want to see why something happened, not only that it happened, and then how they can actually use this information to make a decision, or I don't know, to create another marketing campaign, whatever it is. So we are now playing around with actually employing LLM to analyze the dashboards for them, which is a pretty boring and mundane process, and giving them more context, more insights, more takeaways. The other example is the product that we just launched. It's called Cookie.fun. So our LLM is collecting thousands of tweets every minute on crypto Twitter. It analyzes its sentiment, the content quality, and definitely much more to actually drive insights from them. And I think without LLM that wouldn't be simply possible. A human being would need to sit down and analyze these tweets, which is of course unscalable.
When did you start building this product?
So we started to play around with Twitter exactly June last year. So it's
about a year?
12 months, yeah.
Right. And then how do you, is it your own proprietary model, or are you using a RAG? How are you building this product?
I was 100% sure that you were going to ask this question. And I literally asked our CEO, can I tell? He said, not really. So,
you cannot tell?
No, I cannot tell.
You cannot tell us?
No, not yet.
I see. Okay, cool. How about Messari? I know you guys are one of the first companies in crypto to try to build the Bloomberg or the institutional data platform. Right, so how has AI significantly changed how you build your products and what your users are expecting from you?
Can everyone know that's loud? Great. My name is Brandon Slack. I lead protocol partnerships here at Messari. And to your question, Melody, most people are somewhat familiar with Messari in that they've used it personally or they've used it via their project or protocol. But I think what's really unknown to people is really the breadth of the Messari platform. And so just as a very quick background, Messari started as a research firm, and a lot of our early researchers were very early to helping support DeFi narratives and primitives. Messari helped coin the term DePIN and did a lot of early work with teams on supporting tokenomics and how protocols should think through their project design. Fast forward, we really started to create data tools and analytics to both better support the internal team on research, but also allow our users, those subscribers to Messari.io, to be better informed and do their own type of data aggregation and data intelligence. Because as those people became more aware on the research side, they became more pro users on trading and whatnot. Fast forward to today, Messari has really become a full circle AI integrated team. And basically what we're doing now is we're leveraging the strength of all of those data analytics combined with our research. At the end of last year, we launched our Messari Copilot LLM, which is basically a multimodal LLM that is trained on Messari's 170 terabytes of structured, proprietary, crypto-specific data. And we think that that has given us a tremendous advantage of being able to really leverage the breadth of that data built over 7 years, contextualize it, as Antoni said, very quickly with an LLM, and then deliver that to teams, whether through the website itself or via API integration. So I'll pause there, but I just wanted to set the stage because most people know a sliver of Messari, and we think we've evolved to be so much more, and it's really exciting.
And when did you start building this product?
Yes, so Copilot has now been around since the end of last fall. We started building it about 2 years ago, and we've had really good success launching it on the website, allowing our user base to come on and basically ask natural language questions into Copilot and get answers that pull through the entire treasure trove of Messari data.
And how do you see your user have been using this? Like, is it the number one feature on Messari? Like, is it, most people still only using, most of the dashboards or API? Like, how popular is this feature?
I would say there are different personas. And so if you're a retail user who's not particularly familiar with crypto, you can go on and basically ask any question. Messari really built its business on this suite of APIs that include information on fundraising data, token unlocks, market data, etc. So if you really have no sense of crypto, you can go in and ask, what protocols share the same VCs from Spartan to Paradigm, etc., and get a really easy contextualized answer. On the more institutional and protocol side, we've actually been porting that API into Teams front end. So we've worked with exchanges where they can just utilize the Copilot LLM directly on their website, or we've integrated the back-end API to Teams VCs that are allowing their internal teams to use that for their platforming and tooling and getting better insights on Teams, pulling again directly through the Messari data warehouse. I'll pause there.
Have you found some funny/funky question that was surprising for your team?
That's a good question. I'll have to ask the team. Nothing specific, but I think the beauty is you can really ask a broad breadth of questioning just because the data set has been building now for 7.5 years and is actually quite comprehensive. So I'm sure there's been some wacky questions, and maybe we should compile and tweet some of them out.
And quick question, like, have you guys compared your own LLM results to like Perplexity or the latest O3 models, and is it really significantly better because you have proprietary data?
In terms of specific benchmarking, I can't go into that too much, but I would just say anecdotally, and for anyone in the audience that has used it, we find that the Copilot LLM is really good at answering crypto-native questions. We've asked questions on, say, Base to Perplexity, and you'll get this kind of wazoo string of legal questions or some random hallucinations. But if you're a power trader, investor, or user builder in the space, you're basically going to search something crypto-native and get to pull through a very structured set of back-end data information. And to us, that has been really, really valuable for folks building specifically in the space.
So have you heard any of your clients because of this new research assistant, I no longer need to hire or can hire less of junior analysts? Like, have you seen our analysts are good enough that I'm seeing my customers or institutions are bypassing, hiring real human and just use your product?
Yeah, I don't want to get anyone fired here in the audience, but what I would say is we found that the tool really accelerates the work that teams are doing in the space. So if you're a VC and you're doing investment research, this sort of hyperpowers your ability on both the speed side and the accuracy to get a really good awareness of specific protocol metrics. And then if you're a retail user, it just allows you to basically ask anything. And we find that retail users are really getting up to speed on crypto much faster than they were previously, just reading research reports or Googling information.
If I may add, I'm super happy that you are going in this direction. I don't know if anyone of you asked a simple question to OpenAI Deep Research, but if you ask what's the best yield on bearer trade right now, it's gonna wait for 10 minutes, the answer is gonna be that long, and it doesn't have a clue where the best yield is. So I think there's a very interesting race right now with Messari, with Nansen, with us, Cookie. We're also developing Cookie Deep Research. who's going to actually deliver information that's based on Twitter, blockchain, that understands the jargon, the memes, and all of this stuff to actually deliver a compelling answer. There's no tool. I haven't tried yours. I once asked in Toronto what's the best yield on Berachain. It didn't know yet. So I'm waiting for it to be that effective.
But I wonder, like, let's just imagine, right? And now, if agents all have that perfect information and then they know exactly where the best yield is, then should just stop exist, right? Because then the traders would just go directly find that best yield, and then the best yield will go somewhere else. That's kind of what I wonder, whether the product will always be too late, because the next version of the product is actually the AI trading agents themselves.
If I may, I don't think that may be necessarily true. I think ultimately, like, what we're all working towards is to give everyone they need basically all their answers directly at their fingertips. Obviously, that's comprised of on-chain data, social data, all these other elements. But when we talk in the example presented forwards, just on, for example, Berachain yield, look, there's always going to be a need for someone to go in and adjust it to make sure that they're getting the relevant insights that they need there.
So how about Nansen? Like, tell us more about how you guys are using AI for, initially it's wallet tracking, right? Labeling, insights, who is the biggest trader. So now that AI existed, like, has that changed significantly how you label your wallets, or what other products you guys are launching?
Yeah, very much so. So we've actually been using AI for quite some time to do wallet labeling. And what that's allowed us to do is really expand the amount of wallet labels that we have, so that it's not just purely looking at, for example, entities, but expanding it to understand the characteristics, the behaviors of all on-chain users. So that really allows us to open up basically the types of insights that individuals are able to get, and obviously open up like a completely different range of value that then drives. In terms of new products that we would be building out, given the fact that there has been a number of developments that have come online with LLMs and ChatGPT, etc., we have recently released our deep research functionality, which essentially automates on-chain sleuthing. So as opposed to needing to go in and spend like 20, 30, 40 minutes, potentially hours to understand the characteristics of specific wallets, and basically what their activity is, whether they're associated with certain entities, whether they have specific type of activity taking place, or it's someone that's actually that you want to follow and get insights from and signal from, it's something that can be entirely automated. On top of that, we are also releasing our research agent and our MCP, which will allow agents to ultimately use that as a core part of their infrastructure, to then basically utilize our data to obviously utilize to automate a whole range of stuff and build things out. Our research agent is basically working towards the example that was put forwards beforehand. So not only to use natural language to understand everything that's actually taking place on chain, and as opposed to needing to sift through dashboards and look for specific things and spending hours, just simply have the insights that you need and custom visualizations be created there. But on top of that, take the results from not just on-chain data, but through, for example, from social, from various sources to build out a complete insight, so individuals have the signal that they need straight away, rather than just purely needing to sift through specific things.
And do you guys feel, because we were, before we came to the stage, we're talking about data companies' business models, right? What was a data company's business model, and what is that model going forward post-AI? I think one thing we talked about is a converging of data companies driving insights and making that insights no longer charging just for data, but really turning insights into actions that AI agents will in the future use directly and carry on whatever actions, right, they need to carry on. Do you feel that? Like, I mean, you guys are all day to day, right? You're not doing research, you're not doing fundraising, like you are day to day trying to win customers, make them pay for your service, trying to listen to how you can improve, your product to serve your customers. Do you feel like, especially for platform like you guys, there is a converging happening, especially the speed of building and the speed of AI being able to code whatever you want. Like, what I'm concerned about is in the world of like perfect information, agents would just be able to find anything they need, and all the data company would just become very similar products.
So I think that what's changed over the last couple of years is the data companies becoming more and more vertical in terms of their value chain. So there were companies that index blockchains and they were selling it for the API. Then there were companies that put up the dashboards, and then there were companies that put them into context, and so on and so on. And now we can see in all of our examples that we are actually collecting the data, we are storing this data, we are then creating our own models, and then we are providing the context. So the value chain is becoming more vertical, and I think the competitive advantage right now is choose a specific niche, once again, a specific business vertical, not value chain vertical, and really dig deep into it, because there are so many insights that we haven't explored yet, like we haven't found them. What's more, I think that, for example, at Cookie Free, we have the best go-to-market specialists. If you come to Cookie Free, we actually put the data in context for the best GTM people that are in Web3, because we work with them for the last 4 years. I believe if we started selling the same data to institutions, we wouldn't have that much of an upside. And that's where Messari comes in, for example. So that's how I perceive the changes of the data companies.
Right, so you really have to work with, not just like I'm a data company, I give you data. You have to work with the actual people who are also part of the data, right? Because you have to build relationship with the people, so you have a context that's beyond what you can even see.
Yeah,
that they have put out beyond data.
Yeah, that's what HubSpot has been doing for the last 20 years, and it hasn't changed that much, to be honest.
If I may, so I think what you might be referring to in your comment around basically like having all the data come together and have it be surfaced in one interface. I think the reality is there's still always going to be a need for like a data and analytics company to be able to surface like a core specialized type of data. For example, on-chain data. It's not like everyone can just come in and get the most robust, enriched, most accurate, and unique sets of on-chain data. That requires specialized capabilities, infrastructure, and years of development. Same thing on the social data side of things. So I think the reality is that for a data business, we have to get better and better at being able to take those like specialized area, mine it, I wouldn't say extract, but generates the most value from it. And as you mentioned beforehand, sort of go up the chain in terms of value creation. So it's not just data or relevant data or dashboards, that it's basically instant signal. And then combine that with partners and, through various ways to actually give the end user exactly what they need to make the most educated decision.
And I would just say what you've heard on stage here is exactly correct. It's a very competitive business overall, and what we're all trying to do is take on-chain data, which is by its nature fairly open source and publicly commoditizable, but Messari has built a tremendous proprietary data set. I know we all have different data providers that we work with, so there's very much this plug-and-play optionality of you're applying business logic on top of that. One thing we haven't spoken about is distribution, which is incredibly important. The Messari platform has been a great front-end terminal that attracts eyeballs to the website. We also have a very specific commissioned research business where we work with about 130 protocols across the space. So all to say, we've started with this institutional grade intelligence, this sort of brand marketing, go-to-market, very deep on-chain analytics, but everyone here is now basically doing what everyone else is doing and trying to apply their own proprietary algorithms, business logic, and just strength of the business, and really going to market fast. To your point, Melody, building partnerships in the space is very, very valuable. And so I think doing all of those things together contextually, those are the things that win in the end. 10 years from now, all of this data probably trends to zero cost over time, but right now, there's a lot we're all doing as companies to differentiate, to really compete, and, it's fun. It's going to be some time before all of this is free, and in the meantime, these businesses are really here to try to do the best that we all do individually just to serve our customers.
I wonder, just thinking, I mean, the reason why I asked you guys, when did you start build this AI product, right? And it's no one has been building this more than really 1 to 2 years, right? It's only very, very recent that we started to apply AI into the day-to-day, like the product features. I mean, and it's only 2 years and you made so much progress. And imagine, 12 months later, like how much of your product will change. And you're saying you're already using MCPs, or you're already inviting agents like, oh, use MCP to query my data, right? Using MCP to understand the signals. So the trading agents are like, oh, thank you. Like now I don't even need to go to the website. I don't even need to hit the API. I just go directly action, my trading strategy. So yeah, I don't know how you guys think about, in even 12 months time, like whether it would just be MCP agents pinging your websites, or all the institutional funds. They were just, getting their own agents and start buying and selling tokens.
I think realistically it's going to be a bit of a mix. I mean, obviously it's going to be agents, but there's still going to be a need for an individual to still go in there and, figure things out themselves. I think realistically in 12 months from now, we're going to be in a world where the general user interface that people have is no longer going to be just a set of dashboards. It's just going to be a console, just like ChatGPT, for example, is right now, where as opposed to be like, spending again like half an hour trying to find something, you simply go, what are the most profitable traders doing on chain? What is happening in the last 24 hours that I can capitalize on? Execute that trade for me, set up an alert so that I know when I should get in on this. So it's, as opposed to being something that's completely manual, it's simply just going to be like you're going to be giving it prompts. And of course, as you mentioned before, agents will be taking care of a whole bunch of other things there as well.
But you don't think by 12 months from today, agents will start just trading with signals directly when they get, some wallets are moving money?
They could. I mean, I think we've seen things progress at a very rapid pace.
Do you have customer come to you be like, I want to do this?
Oh, absolutely.
I want to start automate my trades based on the signals, and give me the MCP.
Absolutely.
Give me the agents.
Absolutely, the whole way through. You see that there's a lot of building activity, which is obviously taking place, and it's a very key thing that's of interest. But we're still yet to see someone who's absolutely crushing it in that area. So I guess it's a matter of time will tell.
And I would just say to that point, I was on a panel earlier on the agent side, and we're very bullish on agents in general. All of us here believe in the Web3 ethos. It's going to take some time. And exactly to Peter's point, I think there will always be some combination of an agent internal framework where you're basically the interoperable layer between the internet and the human. But there will always be humans that are going on a terminal, downloading and ingesting data, making sense of it. I think particularly on the Messari side, as a very trusted institutional partner, it's going to be much longer before hedge funds and TradFi institutions are doing that. And we do think we have a really great competitive advantage on being that trusted provider for those institutional traders, market makers, prop shops, etc.
Yeah, and I think we need definitely more than 12 months for builders to build the end-user applications. So it's, even though we have tools such as NA Zapier that integrated agenting workflows, it is difficult to actually create ones and maintain them. One, because you need to really dive into the business logic to set up the workflows, and then to maintain them is not that easy. So I think there are a lot of great builders that are focused on DeFi AI, such as Nox, Heianon, all the other guys, that will probably use our data. But it's not like with the vibe coding, it's definitely not a matter of 1 month to create a proper DeFi AI app that's reliable and won't hallucinate in every 15 minutes. So we have the infra, now we need the actual end user builders to leverage the MCP capabilities, such as Nansen's.
So other than, the products already in a pipeline, what are you guys building that are much more futuristic, ready for agents, right? You're like, okay, we kind of can see where agents is going to use data. Do you think oh, that's probably another 12, 24 months. Let's just focus on existing features. Or are you thinking about, okay, 24 months time, most people are going to be consuming data through agents and building direct, trading strategies based on, your other agents. So are you guys thinking planning for much longer term? I'm just trying to understand because we talk about the data modes. Is it really the data? Is it really the product? Is it really the partnerships that you guys have to really plan ahead? So what's cooking?
Yeah, so if I may, I think the data mode is one thing, but then we have the context mode, if I can call it. So one problem is the context collapsing. If something happened today in Web3, it's no longer relevant in 3 days.
That's right. Yeah.
So, and for LLM to understand what happened on day one, it will take some time and manual data labeling and all this stuff to actually sort what happened on day one, and it's no longer relevant. So I think that the context mode is in the speed of the LLM that understands what the hell is going on in crypto. And it's not that easy, because then we have all the jargons, all the beta chain, BMs, sorry for your losses, and all this stuff, which in crypto is especially difficult to nail. And the LLM is very early to understand the sarcasm of crypto and our sense of humor.
So you become I guess you're babysitting your own
Pretty
LLM.
much.
You're as soon as possible, teaching your LLM to catch up.
I mean, in 2 years, the AI will evolve so much that maybe it will catch up and understand the jargon. I don't know. Maybe.
Right. So they're saying is right now you have to, in a way, thinking about how to train your own AI to make it more faster to understand context. So.
Yep.
Yeah.
And just quickly, one thing I would say, Melody, is I don't want to overstate this, but the data ingestion costs are high. There's compute costs that are high. I mean, if anyone could do it, we all would. It's actually quite complicated. But more importantly, to Antoni's point, is because you're getting all of the blockchain data very raw, it's actually quite ugly. And so taking that from the warehouse, transforming it, Messari has been in business now since 2018, and a bulk of the entirety of our business is taking that data and structuring it, categorizing it, making it very indexable and queryable. And that is difficult because crypto moves so fast. How do you agree upon these set standards? That's why I think we have been, pretty well known as this objective, institutional type player, because we're actually creating context behind these things. Messari has a tremendous team in the background that is pulling out wash trading data, contextualizing trading data so it doesn't look like, these esoteric individual trades are skewing data points one way or another. So I do think in time agents will be really notable, but for the moment, it still takes quite a bit of manual work, humans looking at the data, and that only persists as more chains come to market, more networks grow, etc.
Right. So you still have you have 100 people, right? So most people are still treating the data, giving it context. So even you think short or medium to long term wise, it's still really this is the mode. But you are also I guess what I'm interested is what infrastructure you're building, right, to serve the next generation of users who are agents or agent empowered users.
Yeah, so very quickly, one thing that Messari built at the end of last year that we rolled out is what we call our portal product, which is basically this one-stop shop homepage for teams to come and access every bit of data for teams. So we've launched with Solana, Avalanche, Tron, and Stellar, and we think that terminal concept is a really effective way for both, power users on the retail side and institutional investors to come get everything they need from on-chain data specific type metrics, and then also qualitative metrics on the research side. I would suspect that agents would find that quite valuable, just having this one queryable source of truth that goes all through the Messari backend. But that is something that we've been working very hard to deliver to most of the top tier mature L1s at this point.
Interesting. So you're still thinking they're not going to be bypassing, all of these portals or dashboard. They're still going to go to people, even agents and humans still need actually interface that they can.
I think the three of us here would say that the power and the value prop is the proprietary data that you have. And then there's business logic and proprietary algorithms on top of it. But, we've worked really hard to build a data set, as have these guys on the social and the on-chain side. And that becomes really valuable and quite a moat in and of itself. Yeah. But you have to defend it. And that is where the partnerships and the research angle comes in.
Thank you.
Cool. Just to give one more point on this. So you mentioned just like where are we working towards? What's sort of that vision 12 months from now? Is there something that we haven't mentioned which is going to be like truly revolutionizing? And I think the reality is we have to think about how can we make actioning data and making decisions around what we're seeing even easier? How can we streamline it even more? How can we turn something that normally takes an hour into maybe like 1 minute? So I think there's a long way to go before we completely like are able to automate and make that as easy as possible for people. You know, we still don't have the ability to just simply, I might call it almost like vibe trade, where you just simply give prompts and be like, okay, that's profitable. Yep, execute the trade. So we've got a long way to go. But ultimately, things are moving so incredibly quickly that 12 months from now, who really knows what's going to be the case?
Yeah, I'm excited to be, coming back maybe next year, and we'll see how AI has changed all of our products. Yeah, thank you so much, everyone. Hopefully, I think our time is up. Hopefully, you learned a bit more about data businesses and where we're heading with AI of all these platforms. And if you haven't used any of their platforms, please do give it a try. Yeah, thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you all.